Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today, in deck number 484, we're going to talk about Questing Beast. Now, I will admit, when I saw this card the first time, it was all the surprise factors taken off now that we have perpetual spoiler season. But I saw it online, and I read it, and I read it, and I was like, why is this thing legendary? I don't get it. I don't understand why it's legendary. And then something happened. I actually, got my hands on the card. And I went, whoa. Okay, so let's read Questing Beast. It's a 4-mana, 4/4 legendary beast. Vigilance, Death Touch, and Haste. Now, I started playing in a day where for 4 mana you got the 4/4. Period. Anyway, Questing Beast can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less, so they can't like chump block it with their mana dorks or tokens or whatever. Gotcha. Combat damage that would be dealt by creatures you control can't be prevented. Now, there's something there that I did not address in this deck. But we're not done. Whenever Questing Beast deals combat damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to target planeswalker that player controls. Now, I don't know about y'all, but in my particular meta that I'm playing with, planeswalkers aren't that dominant. Some decks, a lot of decks will have one or two. And of course, there's the assorted Super Friends deck that, I think everybody's got one, but you don't really play it all the time. But I was really confused as to how to build Questing Beast. And I was including a lot of just good mono green stuff, and I was at an impasse. Just complete until I got inspired. At the end of the day, this is a legendary beast, and I have never done Beast Tribal. The problem with Beast Tribal is that it got supported so long ago in like the Onslaught Legion Scourge block that typically things were way higher costed then. So let's go ahead and start off with our ramp, shall we? Because we have got a little bit of it. Because Beast, well, beside the Questing Beast here, they typically cost some mana. So we got, do we have a lot of ramp? Rampant Growth. This is Pilgrimage. We'll try to do the spells first. Harrow. Ranger's Path. Artifacts. Heraldic Banner. Y'all know I'm just deeply in love with this card because, I mean, in monocolor decks, in order to really abuse this card, you need to be in monocolor decks that play creatures. Check. Ronus's Monument. I'm counting this as many creatures as we have in the deck. Yeah, I'm going to count this as ramp. And it gives trample. Our commander has Death Touch, and I want to give it the Trample Touch. Hence the whole reason why we're paying Warhammer later. We'll get to the Moss Diamond. Then we got creatures in the form of Fertilid, Karametra's Acolyte, Elvish Mystic, Llanowar Elves, Wood Elves. Wood Elves is important to remember. We'll come back to that. Veteran Explorer. Yes, I know it ramps everybody equally, but, a lot of times, equally is not real equal. And then Gaia's Touch. I love Gaia's Touch. I play it as often as I possibly can. I only have 3 non-basic lands in the entire deck, so there's a good chance that, we're going to be able to make at least a couple of turns. And I love the touch because once you get to the point to where you don't have the lands to double drop every turn, you can sack it to get that too. I guess since we're on topic, we'll go ahead and look at the non-basics. Got a cycle land, the Gingerbread Cabin, and Castle Garenbrig. Now, Castle Garenbrig, y'all know from the other one, I was not impressed at first. I looked at the card. I got this as my pre-release foil, and I was like, you know what? I feel gypped. I'm probably never going to use this, but it's the pre-release, and I'll use it. I use this Joker every time. Now, granted, it's just a one bump. You know, you tap in 5 lands to get 6 mana. But man, yeah, it does have the restrictions on creatures and activation of creatures, but in this deck, that's not going to be an issue. Shall we card draw? Yeah. Picked up another copy of Harmonize. Elemental Bond. You know, creature power 3 enters the battlefield. You're going to draw a card. Kavu Lair. Creature power 4 enters the battlefield. Draw a card. Zendikar Resurgent. Now, this kind of does 2 things. Obviously, it doubles our mana and play a creature, draw a card. That's pretty nice. Keeper of Fables is not a beast, although I'm sure a lot of cat owners will say that's wrong. I don't have pets myself, so. Whenever one or more non-human creatures you control deal combat damage, you draw a card. Now, the way that's worded, one or more, if you've got 1 that deals combat damage, you're going to draw 1 card. If you got 10 that deal combat damage, you're going to draw 1 card. Garrick's Pack Leader, kind of the same thing, power 3. Return of the Hot Stepper, Wild Speaker, I'm sorry. This is just a great card. It really is. Non-humans get +3 or draw cards equal to the greatest non-human. And last but not least, Aid from the Cow. Now, this is card advantage, but it's not card draw. You know. But it does actual nothing if you can't trigger that revolt. You have to have a permanent leave the battlefield. Now, let's get into that. We're going to jump around here a little bit because that enter the battlefield effect, I'm sorry, not enter the battlefield, leave the battlefield. We're going to look at Stampeding Wildebeest and Stampeding Sero because they're essentially the same card, 2 different names. Thank you, Kamigawa. But these are 5/4 tramples that during your upkeep you have to return. The drawback is you have to return a green creature you control to your owner's hand. Y'all remember that Wood Elf coming into play, getting that about the extra land? What about Indrik Stomphowler naturalizing when it comes into play, or Reclamation Sage doing the same thing, or Acidic Slime? How about Thorn Mammoth? Now, yes, I know these are not beasts. These were part of the deck that I had before I took that direction. But even at 7 mana, this is a pretty expensive card, especially to be recasting every turn, right? But in theory, at that time, I mean, it's probably not mattering that much to us if we are able to, you know, just keep blowing stuff up. So let's look at some beast cards, shall we? We have the Colonian Behemoth, 9/9 Shroud. Heck yeah, all day long, sign me up. Them's good stats. Baloth Woodcrasher. Now, while we're looking at Baloth Woodcrasher, this is a prime time to tell you about a card that's not here, that I thought I had. I was sure of it, or else I would have gotten it, but I didn't. Wow. My mind went blank. The 6/6 landfall make a 4/4 beast. They're both beasts. It's a beast that makes beasts. It's, oh god, how I play the heck out of that card. How can I not remember it? Dang, y'all know what I'm talking about. It'll come to me like in the middle of the night, and I'll wake up and I'll go. Anyway, Running Plated Crusher because 7/6 trample hexproof. I'll be honest, that just does it for me. Trying to get all of the newer ones here. Feral Hydra. I like the fact that you can you get the discount putting counters on it when you cast it, but you can put counters on it later. Kind of helps that once you get your resurgent going. Lovestruck Beast. Now, this was one of the first cards in the deck because I'm trying to use as much of Eldraine as I can in the Eldraine commanders, obviously. And I don't know. I kind of like the Beast here. And in this particular deck, we've got those Mana Elves, so that kind of helps a little bit as well. But now let's look at some Onslaught stuff. You know what? I think we'll do these in order. Onslaught, and then Legions, and then Scourge. Oh, hold on. We got some more that are not. Garrick's Companions, a 2-mana 3/2 trample. Really good. Caller of the Pack. Myriad. Myriad is an ability I would like to see more of. It really makes creature combat viable for Commander because if you're relying on creature combat for your win, it is kind of difficult. I mean, you've got a lot of damage to do. I was listening to the EDH Recast with Dana, Matt, and Joey, and they address this. Most of these cards that we play with, that we build Commander decks with, were designed to get a opponent from 20 to 0. They were not designed to get 3 opponents from 40 to 0. That is 120 damage. That is 6 times the amount of life that most of these cards were designed for. Now, granted, this is a true Commander card, and this was designed with Commander in mind. And that's why that Myriad is so good, because, yeah, it's just going to pop out and have, an 8/6 swinging at everybody. As long as you can, keep the original alive and shoot any triggers that you get off of, big creatures that are in play, that's gravy, right? So, let's see. We have a Prophecy one. Anarid Swarm Snapper. 3-mana, 1/4, But this has got reach. And in a pinch, this is going to save our life. Because if we get swarmed by angels, which happens to me a lot, because there's a really, really good angel deck in my meta, you can just dump a ton of mana and essentially buy you a turn. We've got Leery Fogbeast, Ravenous Baloth. Now, Ravenous Baloth was the one that actually saw a little bit of play back then. Now, Onslaught, Legions, and Scourge, I was not actually playing the heavy standard environment back then because I was playing, I'm almost scared to say, the Lord of the Rings card game. That's a different story. Histrodon, whatever. It's a 3/4 trample. It deals combat damage to a player. You can draw a card. So we're Crozen Ground Shaker for 7 mana 6/6, and target beast gains trample. So this is another way to give our commander trample, because that trample and death touch together is such a beautiful thing. Brontotherium. Now, Provoke, I really like Provoke. It lets you, when this attacks, you may have target creature defending player untap and block it if able. This kills those creatures, those utility creatures that are not there for attacking. This kills, we don't see a whole lot of Dark Confidants, but we do see a lot of, Mana Elves and things like that. Now, granted, this is a 6-drop, so it is really good to kill those utility creatures. Oh, I thought I was going to do these in order, but apparently I'm not. Feral Throwback. Now, Amplify was an ability from this block only. I think it may even be from that set. No. I think it was just the block. Anyway. As this card comes into play, put 2 1/1 counters on it for each beast card you reveal from your hand. And while that is giving something away, you're playing a green deck. And once you play this, I mean, it's not hard to figure out you have a handful of beasts, especially with all the card draw that we've got. Berserk, Merlot, don't do it. I just now read the name. I mean, I've played with this card for years, and I don't think I've ever read the name. It was like, anyway. Whenever a beast becomes blocked, it gets 1/1 for each creature blocking it. So that's not bad. Canopy Crawler, another amplify, and it can pass essentially pass those counters off temporarily. Target creature gets 1/1 during the turn for each 1/1 counter on it. This would be a decent card in +1 counter decks if we were to go the beast route there. Let's look at Totem Speaker. While not a beast, it's an elf druid, I know. But a beast comes into play, you gain 3 life. This may not be worth it. It may not be worth a slot in the deck, I will admit. But I will also admit, when else am I going to play this card? I've had this full card just chilling in the binder for, I don't know, over a decade. So it's like, you know what? Today is your day in the sun. Crozen Voron. 4 mana, 3/2, provoke again, and can't be blocked by more than one creature. And then the last actual creature card is the War Chief. Now, they did War Chiefs for the supported tribes in Onslaught Block, and Beast was the one that nobody cared about. This actually could have been back in the Commander Ramp section, but Regenerate Target Beast is nothing to laugh at, because several years ago, they decided to quit hating on regeneration, and they've printed, a lot of stuff that you can actually regenerate from. I mean, Wrath of God's still a popular card, and so is Damnation, but I see a lot more Day of Judgments being played than I do Damnations or Wraths. Maybe that's just because of the cost factor. I don't know. I know I have a lot more days. So now let's look at, what are we going to call it? Beast adjacent cards. We got Beast Attack, 5 the first time and 5 the second time. Azuri's Predation. I think I put too many syllables in that, didn't I? Fresh Meat, just in case, you get that board wipe going on. Hunting Pack. Storm. This is what I'm talking about. I am that crazy guy who will sit there and hold up 7 mana, hoping for that awesome payday that 2 other players get in a counterspell war, and I'm just going to end up with 5 beasts. Yes. It'll be 20 years before that happens, I know, but once it happens, it's going to feel so good. And then Spawning Ground. Hey, just, tap, get a beast. Seems good. Better be good for an 8-man enchantment, right? You know what? We are already in enchantments here, so let's look at the rest of them. Familiar Ground, Each creature you control can't be blocked by more than 1. So this way, yeah, they'll trample through that damage. And Primal Order. Now, I love me some Primal Order, mainly because, you know what? We're playing 3 non-basic lands, right? So, and that's in the minority. Even in a lot of monocolor decks, there's a lot of non-basics nowadays. But, 2 and 3 color decks. And I feel like with the Brawl, the popularity of the 4 Brawl commanders rewarding you for just playing the game, I feel like we're going to see those more and more. And you know what? They're 3 color. There's going to be a lot of non-basics in there. Loxodon Warhammer. Now, I know I've referred to it a couple times. The ability to give our commander trample is very important to me, and I will explain why for those of you who haven't seen the other videos or don't exactly know how the intricate rule works. Now, when a creature has trample and death touch, which, by the way, they don't naturally print those together. You got to, build that creature. They'll have one, but not the other. I figure they're waiting to do that for like a super crazy mythic whatever. I'm surprised the Beast wasn't one of them. Anyway, Trample says lethal damage must be assigned to the creature before it can trample over to your opponent. And Death Touch says all Death Touch damage is lethal. So if I've got a 5/5 and you've got a 5/5, and mine has Trample and Death Touch and you block it, I can deal 1 point of damage to your creature and then have the other 4 trample over to you. Yeah, it's. I say it's not very intuitive. It's one of those rules I've known for so long that it is kind of intuitive to me, but it's only because I'm me, you know. Uh, got ourselves an overrun, and we are playing mono green, so that kind of puts us in there with Howl the Night Pack and Blanchwood Armor. Love that Blanchwood Armor, especially on a, you know, a giant commander like that. That guy's nuts. Kenris Transformation, another one of those good on the board but useless cards. The guys over at EDH Rec love those. But now, turning it into a 1/1, like some of the blue cards do, is not that useful because it's easy to kill. But, I mean, this even replaces itself. You draw a card with it. That's how outstanding is that? Of course, better naturalize in Return to Nature. I'm going to try this Rending Vines. Mainly just, I'll be honest with you, just because I was in the binder for the Stampeding Cerro and I run across the Rending Vines and I was like, you know what? It's got draw a card. It does have the card in hand restriction, but you know, I think we're going to give it a try. Then Hurricane, you know, like I said, Flowers hurt. And then Instant Hurricane in Squall Line. I have not had a chance to play the Questing Beast yet. We did play a bunch of games last night and played with a lot of the new decks. So I played Torbrand. Y'all remember Torbrand from yesterday? I actually got to play it on the day the video aired, and that Torbrand is sick. That guy is crazy how good he is. I mean, even it's yeah. I was tapping Kamal like 12ing people. I mean, and that I didn't even have the gratuitous violence. It was crazy. Well, let's go ahead. Oh, we got to show the wall. 484s in the books. Got nights tomorrow, so I'll go ahead and record the night deck, and we'll take a look at it tomorrow. Questing Beast, I get it. I get it. It probably should be legendary, from what I understand. From the 20 live formats, it needed to be, but I do appreciate y'all watching, and y'all let me know what you think. Be sure, if you like it, subscribe down below. Hit the like button. Comment. I try to interact with as much of the comments as I can. You know, I do still work for a living. I hadn't won the lottery yet, so it may be a day before I get to it because stuff, life. Y'all know how it is. But I appreciate it, y'all, and thanks for the comments. It really means a lot. There's a term that content creators sometimes use that they call shouting into the void, and a lot of times when you put things out there, onto the internet, and you get nothing. It's just crickets. Sometimes you can feel like you're shouting into the void, but I love y'all. Thank y'all very much. Y'all are a super interactive audience. I love it. Keep up. Y'all keep up the good work. But right now, it is time to shuffle and cut.